My first experience with Kolf started when I was walking out of an abortion clinic after having just taken the first pill of the 2 sets of pills. It's called mifepristone, and I knew that I had just made a really grave mistake. And so I went home and I Googled abortion pill regret, and I found a hotline number for a website called Abortion Pill Reversal. And I picked up the phone and I called the number, and a lady named Debbie Bradle answered the phone and said, "Abortion Pill Reversal, this is Debbie, how can I help you?" And from that moment on, the course of my life just completely changed. And I had no idea who Culture of Life was or what they did or APR, any of that. My focus was just attempting to save my baby and to change this grave mistake that I had made. I started dating this man. It quickly became a serious relationship, and it became a very, very manipulative and abusive relationship that I just couldn't figure out how to get out of. I did go into a Planned Parenthood, and I got my pill, and I just put it all in the back of my mind. But the second I walked out, I don't know if you would call it a vision or what, but I just was in deep thought, and I realized once that veil of fear was lifted and I was able to so clearly see the decision I had just made, I was able to see how selfish I was, and I was able to think about the fact that this child, I believe it was a girl, she was never going to get to be reborn into another family. Like, I had selfishly taken her life away on the grounds of my own future and my own pride and my own reputation. And I just knew that that wasn't a good enough reason. And so I wanted to do anything I could to change that decision that I just made. I had about a 60 to 70% chance of success, and then the other percentage was a percentage of women whose reversals did not work, and I knew that could happen. And I called the doctor, and she put in an order for blood work to check my trend of my pregnancy hormones and see if they were increasing or if they were decreasing. And 2 days later, she did notify me that they had decreased significantly and that a miscarriage would ensue. You feel worthless. I felt like I had nothing, and God was clearly telling me it's time to go to confession. It's time to turn your life around. It's time for me to use this for my glory. And so I did, and I confessed it, and I started writing about it. And Ryan said, I should link her up with my mom. Her name's Debbie, and she runs this hotline called Abortion Pill Reversal, and she's always looking for volunteer nurses. And I just burst into tears, and I was like, okay, now's the time. Now is when God's going to use this.
So God very organically led all of us here in his own way.
It's so surreal to think about it now, because it's like, before I'd ever even made that decision, God had put someone in my life that was going to link me up after I made that mistake and bring it all together. And I realized that this wasn't a plan Z like I thought it was. It wasn't I made a terrible decision and now God's like, oh, crud, now what am I going to do with you? This was always his plan. He always knew I was going to do that, and God works outside of time and space.
It's such a beautiful reminder that we are not in charge, and this isn't our ministry, it's God's. And with more volunteers, with more support, farther we can go, more women we can help.
All I really needed was somebody to look me in the eyes and tell me that I could do it.
They think they're alone, they think it's their only option, and so to just be able to look them in the eye and say, hey, you can keep going to school, you can be successful, and you're not going to do it alone, because we're here too.
As a child, if anything is going to motivate you and bless you and give you a purpose. And I needed someone to tell me that, and at Kolf's, that's what we do. We're young girls who see other women and want to empower them and show them the courage that they don't realize that they have.
When they walk in the door, the intention is that they feel not just welcomed, but safe.
Even in those organic moments where you don't have all the story, and you don't have your chart in front of you, and God just places you there, and the Holy Spirit is just going to use you.
We're there to support and show love to women. We are pro-woman and pro-child.
I think one of the most important things that the mobile unit provides our community is that visual sign for life. Having an ultrasound on wheels, essentially, is what it is. Counseling that can come to the women on the street.
Building and making an environment that is homey and comforting and just gives you a sense of security and, just non-judgmental love, because that's the way that Christ greets us.
But it's truly working to build up the soul that's right in front of me.
And that's the goal, is just to continue to save as many babies, help as many families, as many women as possible.
Without that faith-filled generosity that comes from the donors, without the prayers that come from our community, we wouldn't have the ability to do the work that we do.
My faith is a major part of why I do what I do, why I'm inspired. Trying to help spread the good news and that God is merciful to people is what motivates me.
To work with holy, Christ-like women whose intentions are so pure and so rooted in love, to be a part of something that is literally changing and saving lives. Living the dream.